Jones Family Adventures.
Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Alan Jones. I am the father in Jones Family Adventures. I get people that contact me and they reach out to me and they ask me all the time, how did you get custody of your kids? How do you have such a great relationship with your kids? And, one of the things that I wanted to share with you today, guys, is just I'm gonna do maybe a 5-part series on for fathers and mothers as well, but really speaking to the fathers, the dads out there that feel like they have no hope or they want to have a relationship with their kids and they just don't know where to get started. One of the things I'm going to show you is how I was able to get custody and some of the little things to get you started. So, but before I dive into that, I'm just going to give a little bit of background about myself. I grew up with my mom. I didn't meet my dad till probably around maybe 13 or 14 years old. And my mom, she had a specific image of my dad and turned out to not be necessarily true, right? And one of the things that I noticed, and I noticed how important it is for a father to be in a child's life. So I knew right from the start that I was going to be in my kid's life, whether or not me and the kid's mother will be together or not. I knew that I wanted to fight like tooth and nail. And one of the things that I'm going to say to you, dads, is no matter what, no matter how hard it gets, you want to be in your child's life. If that's your desire to be in your child's life, then there's nothing that can stop you from having a relationship with your child. But you have to be proactive. You can't be reactive. And I want you guys to understand that this is not going to be something that's going to, say anything bad about moms because we love moms. But I just want to say, talk to the fathers, the ones that think or may feel that it's hopeless. Depending on your situation, guys, if you fight for your child, I can guarantee that you will get a favorable result. So, with that being said, I know how important it is. And one of the biggest things is just having that relationship with your child, regardless of the relationship that you have with the mother of the child. Too many times I've seen men let emotions get the better of them because remember, the child didn't ask to be here, and that's your flesh and blood. So no matter what the relationship you have with the other parent, right? You want to make sure that you establish that relationship with the child and never, ever, ever, ever take out the frustration that you may have with the other parent and take that out on the child. And the sooner you get active and proactive on it, the sooner you can start establishing your relationship with the child. So it doesn't matter what city you're in. The first thing or the first steps, of course, that text or that test, right? That she's pregnant. Now, at that very moment with me, once the mother of my child found out she was pregnant, during the pregnancy, I was there hands on. I wanted to go to every doctor's appointments and things of that nature. But I also had a talk about if we did not make it. Now, that was a talk that I had while we was together. Now, I'm gonna be honest that she wasn't very happy about that, but I knew and seeing things in my past that, hey, why not be proactive and put something in place that way that if we was to break up or something were to happen, then that what we put in place will be there. So I don't have to worry about one day, we break up and next thing you know, she's halfway across the country with my child and I may not know where she's at because in some states, if even though custody hasn't been established, some states by default kind of make the mom, the custodial parent. And she could get up and she could take the child away and you could be searching and looking for that child and you won't know where she's at until you receive some papers in the mail saying that you owe child support. It happens, right? And guys, in some states, custody ain't been established. And it could be vice versa. It could be the dad, but typically that happens and you don't want to be in that situation. And what I wanted her to understand is like, hey, while everything is great between us, let's talk about some fair ways to do this just in case if we don't make it, that we can have, a great relationship, a great visitation schedule, a great custody, and all that worked out in advance, right? So what I did was I went ahead and I went and put things together and I really wanted to make it as fair as possible. But it's looked down upon. I mean, I had some, people with mixed thoughts and mixed feelings. At first she thought that it was, conniving, you're doing it behind your back, you're manipulative, and just things of that nature. And it really wasn't that. I just know that emotions can change, and sometimes with some parents, they feel that they have control, like the child is the object that is theirs and not the other parent. So it's never, they don't look at it as a 50-50 thing. They may look at it as a 99% and a 1% thing, right? And you don't want to be on that 1% of the feeling, right? So the first thing that you want to do is you want to talk about that with the person when they're pregnant. I know it sounds crazy, but that is the best time to start, because you can already gauge by their responses, how receptive they're going to be to maybe joint custody or full custody. Now, I believe in my perfect scenario is I believe in 50-50 joint custody, then splitting time equally with each parent. That is the best. That's the best way that I feel. And for fathers, I absolutely think that you should fight for that, right? Now, in certain cases, if you know that you're in the best interest to have that child full time and have full custody of that child, then remember, you have to always do what's in the best interest for that child. Okay. So, yes, go ahead and fight for the full custody. Now, at the time, I knew that I was in the best interest of having my child full time, and I knew that I was going to fight full time for full time custody of my child. So, what I wanted to do is I'm going to show you a couple of things, guys. I'm going to share my screen, so bear with me just 1 second. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen, and I'm going to pull up, and I'm going to blur this out so you can't see the other party's name. But one of the things that you could go to, it's a site called eFile, right? If you in Texas, definitely eFile, but in other states, check and see if they have an e-filing system where you can electronically file, right? In Texas, it's a SAPSR, where it's a suit affecting parent-child relationships. In other states, it's going to be different, but it's pretty much going to be similar, all the same, right? So you want to see if they have e-file. If not, you're going to have to go down to the courthouse in the county of the state that you're in, to figure out what paperwork do they have for you to file. And understand that you can file first. It's okay. You can file this, and it's actually in your best interest to file first. Once this is put in place, once you put a case in place, it's going to really protect you. If you notice, this was submitted by me. It got the court information on there. And if you come down, it shows me as the petitioner, and it also shows that I represented myself, right? And of course, there were several lawyers that they had, but I can tell you, I beat every single lawyer, that the mother had, right? And so I didn't have to pay the type of money that was paid, final representation. So this right here is for child support. I'm going to log in just to show you real quick. So as you can see right there, custodial parent, and then you can see the non-custodial parent, guys. And I just blurred out some of that information so that you can see. And I just want to show you that, hey, that I indeed had, custody and have custody of my kids, right? So let me just do this real quick. So stop short, because I want to just get you to the point of, documentation based conversation, so you know exactly who you're talking to. So the first step is coming up with a plan that you feel like is fair and talking it over while the child is born. Once the child is born, right, then I highly suggest getting a DNA test. Now, you can sign the birth certificate. Now, depending on your state, and I'll look into that, you have so many days after the birth certificate is signed, that if there was a test that do come back that you're not the father, that you can have that birth certificate amended, okay? You can have it amended, and you can have it done in the court system. So once you file your SAPSA, what you're going to do is your suit is going to establish paternity, right? Now, you're establishing paternity is making sure that the child is yours. If you know hands down and you don't want to do a DNA test, That's fine. Make sure that you sign the birth certificate. But for me, even though I was 100% sure, I still wanted to have that documentation, that 99.9999999, that my kids were mine. So I did it just because, and I wasn't expecting any surprises. I didn't have any doubts, but I still wanted to have that documentation to show that, hey, without a doubt, that these kids are 100% mine and they're 100% carrying my blood. Once you establish the paternity, once you fill out the birth certificate, or if you decided to go the DNA route and you did that, right, that's got to be done first in your custody suit. Now, after that is done, then you're going to ask for what exactly is it that you want, right? And what I mean by that, do you want to do joint custody? Do you want to do full custody? However, this is what I suggest: the sooner the better. Now, for some fathers, it may be every other weekend. I'm not a fan of every other weekend because you're talking about 365 days out of the year. And you're telling me that you only want to see your kids 4 to 5 days a month? Now, if that's all you can do, because hey, you may be stationed somewhere, you may be afar, it's okay, right? As long as you're able to build and establish a relationship with your child. Now, once that's done, what you're going to do is you're going to figure out what you want to do. So after that, you're going to put all of that in the order. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do videos, guys, to show you exactly how to file this. And just so you know, let me go ahead and put my disclaimer out there. I'm not a lawyer, even though, I've helped a lot of people. I'm not a lawyer. I believe I got to put that disclaimer out there for somebody to come back and say, oh, he's giving legal advice and he's not a lawyer. So I'm just telling you what I've done and just giving you suggestions on how you can go out there and do the same thing without spending a lot of money on an attorney that's going to charge you an arm and a leg to go out here and do and file paperwork that you literally can do yourself. You have the ability to represent yourself and be pro se, right? Now, if you look up the standard visitation order in your state, a lot of things in there is already done for you. The only thing that you're going to change is you want to change the visitation schedule. If in Texas, you're going to look in there, you could create your own. If you wanted to do 3 days and then 4 days and off and then come back and do 3 days on, or if you did 4 days on, 3 days off, 3 days, 2 days, and it's just however you want to do it, right? Once that's established, then you want to establish things like your medical, you want to establish things like, child support and things of that nature. One of the things, guys, if you don't want to pay child support on your child, then set it up to be joint 50-50 custody where y'all split the times where the child is equally at your house and the child is equally at the mom's house, or get full custody, right? But if you have the child every other weekend, then it's okay to pay child support. Don't feel any type of way of paying child support. Guys, you're taking care of your child. And I know it could get hard, and I know the feeling. I've been there before, so what I tell you is, as long as that person is really doing what it takes, then you can gauge how much support that you want. With me, with the mother, she stepped up. I mean, in the beginning, it was rough. And yes, I had her on child support. But over the years, definitely stepped up to the plate, have a great co-parenting relationship. I personally made a decision to just, take off child support and things of that nature. A lot of that money was going saved up to their college funds, and I'm gonna teach you how to, set up their kids' college funds and things of that nature. Also, in your order, you want to look for daycare and establish daycare, especially if you're sharing custody with the other parent. You want to make it as convenient as possible. So if you can find something that's maybe halfway between both of you guys, will be great, right? That way y'all could put in an agreement to split daycare costs. Also what I recommend putting in your order as well is making sure that the other parent can't cause the child to miss days from daycare or schools. That was one of the things that I had to learn. I had a daycare where they couldn't only miss a certain amount of days, and I didn't have it in my order the first time around. Let me say this, I didn't have it in my temporary orders. And so by the time the case was closed, like, I end up losing out on daycare because the other party didn't take the child to daycare, missed like over 100 days, and they dropped her because missed too many days. But I didn't have it in there. I didn't have nothing in there to protect me, and to protect my child at the time. So that's something that you want to be able to put in your order as well too. And what I do is I break all these little things down that people don't even think about, but I've been there before, so I can definitely show you how to do that as well too. So once you figure out everything that you want to put in your order, you're going to file it, right? Once you file it, and you got to get it served. Now, there's a couple of easy ways to serve. I mean, you can serve a certified mail with e-file. You can actually email it to them. One of the biggest keys about getting somebody served is making sure that they are aware of getting served. I know this may sound backwards. Make sure that they are aware of getting served. Because if you tell them and say, hey, the email, they're going to open the email up, or they're going to look into it themselves. They may call down to the courthouse and different things, and now you've been able to have them served. In addition to that, also make sure that you set up a child support case, right? Go ahead and set up a child support case and have that in place already. So that way the child support in your state would know that there's a pending court order as well too. Now, remember, the court is always going to supersede the child support. And what I mean by that is going to go by what the judge say. So make sure that there is a child support order in place. Now, what happened is once you file, you're going to file for emergency temporary orders, meaning that you want this temporary orders put in place immediately, right? Once that is put in place immediately, then your visitation or, what temporary custodies will start. Maybe something 1 week on, 1 week off. Or like I said before, guys, if it's a situation where you got to do every other week, hey, weekend, I understand, do what you can do, right? But put that in place so that it can establish that while you're going through your custody and establishing custody. In the meantime, try to do your best to actually work it out with the other parent. I mean, that is absolute best case scenario that y'all can sit down, y'all can talk about it, y'all can figure out what's fair. You're not going to agree on everything, and it's okay. And understand, you're not going to get everything that you want or what you ask for in an order. It's okay. But at the same time, if you don't ask for it, you're definitely not going to get it. So there's going to be things you're going to ask for, like, hey, I want my kids to have their passports. I want my kids to, it's a split cost when it comes to extracurricular activities like tennis and football and things of that nature. You're going to ask for all that, right? But you want to put that inside the order as quickly as we want to put everything inside of there, because what happens is if you're doing this while your child is young, right? Some of this stuff haven't even came. Then, you got a child that's less than a year. They're not in sports yet. They're not in elementary school yet. You may not even establish a doctor, but these are going to be some of the things that you're going to want in your order, so the way that there's no discrepancies, because you may like this pediatrician, she may like that pediatrician. You may like this school, she may like that school. She may not. It's just a lot of little bickering that you guys can solve in the very beginning. And if is a modification needed, if you have a great relationship with the other parent, it could be very simple where y'all don't even have to come into the courtroom. Y'all can just draw up the modification and submit it, and the judge can sign it. And it can be as simple and easy as that, right? So for fathers, like I said, I'm going to do, like a 5-part series. I just wanted to just really just touch bases on, just give a couple of little pointers, before I come back and actually walk you through the steps on what it takes to file, the things that you need to put in there, copies of the order and things of that nature. Because at the end of the day, guys, it's all about what's in the best interest for the children. That's it. Personal feelings aside, it's all in the best interest, because your kids are going to love you, they're going to love their dad, they're going to love their mom, and you want to make sure they can see a great, happy environment. But sometimes as adults, if we can't agree, then the order is put in place so that way that we have something ironclad. So if it's a situation that, like I said, we can't agree on, then you want to make sure that you have that order to protect you. And for fathers, I'm a big fan in going after your rights, because fathers do have rights. I know in the past, it felt like the fathers didn't have rights, but we got more rights than we think. It's just that a lot of dads, unfortunately, they don't exercise their rights. They sit back and they do nothing, and they end up becoming reactive, and they want a relationship with their child. But They let the relationship with the parent affect their relationship with their child, and we're not going to let that happen, guys. And I can assure you that we're not going to let that happen, and I can assure you it's going to be a whole lot of success stories and great stories of father getting satisfactory, right? Satisfactory when it comes down to establishing their relationship with their child. So with that being said, guys, keep tuning into the channel. Go like and share some of the videos of relationships and the things that I have with my kids, because I take them kids everywhere. My kids come first. And I've been able to create a life that simply revolves around my kids, where we could go out there, have an adventure, have a great time, and really, really enjoy life. And at the same time, raise the kids up to the best of my abilities, guys. So with that being said, I appreciate everybody taking the time to watch these videos. Tune in, subscribe, and look for other videos. They're going to come out soon throughout the week, guys. I'm going to build this up. And if you have any questions, feel free to type your questions, comments below. And I will definitely answer every single question from every single comment that comes. So with that being said, guys, Alan Jones here at Jones Family Adventures. Have a great day.
Jones Family Adventures.